their timeline has been condensed so much. How quick can we get the product?
They want it tomorrow.
Mistakes and issues, that's the new normal. A lot of these facilities are running around the clock, and any interruption in power can cost them millions of dollars. If they're going to shut down, it has to be right. We work with a wide array of customers across different verticals. We're working with folks in the renewable space. We're working with colleges and universities. We're working with manufacturing facilities, healthcare, hospitals, water and wastewater treatment, grocery stores, warehousing and logistics. Again, the products that we sell are not unique to one particular industry. Every industry, in the country needs what we sell.
Yeah.
And so we've had to learn along the way that every vertical, every market segment has a little bit of a different niche, has a little bit of a different nuance and what's important to them. And, for instance, let's talk manufacturing, right? There's a significant amount of manufacturing that's actually come back to Western New York area. We've been involved in a lot of these projects. I don't know, can you think of one in particular and let's just talk about what was their big concern or what's the most important thing to them?
To the customer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, generally it's time frame. That's a big thing, especially a large industrial facility. They don't want to spend a lot of time waiting for the facility to be ready. They want it, they want it tomorrow. They want it tomorrow morning. And so what we do is, that's again why Ryan mentioned, the earlier they invite us in, the quicker all this is going to happen. It's going to take a lot of stress off their shoulders. But I think time frame is number one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think in that manufacturing space, speed to completion is a really important piece to them. And that's important to everybody today. But as we talk about these different markets and these different verticals, I would agree that in manufacturing and in production, or if they're doing assembly, and there's a significant amount of it actually in the Western New York market, there's so much upfront work that has to be done for these facilities and the managers at these facilities who are in charge of these capital expenditures and these expansions and these modernizations. There's so much upfront work that has to be done on their part, and there's most likely in a lot of cases a deadline that's almost unrealistic in times. And before they can start placing orders, they have to go through a process. And a lot of times that process is lengthy and it's long, and by the time they finally get to the place where they can cut purchase orders, their window of time, their timeline has been condensed so much, right? So speed, how quick can we get the product?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is we go into a lot of facilities that are adding more requirement for more electricity. They're already working. It's a manufacturing facility, and so the big thing is they don't want to shut the place down. So a lot of times we go in there and we're able to look at what they're doing and then work in different segments of the facility to keep this part of it operating, and over here add the new equipment, and that rather than shut the whole place down. So again, back to your point, speed is a big one, and then the timing of putting all this together is important to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things when you talk about manufacturing and not being able to shut down, a lot of these facilities are running around the clock, and any interruption in power can cost them millions of dollars. And so if they're going to shut down, it has to be right.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about some of the lengths that we have gone to or that we do go to ensure that when that equipment shows up and they take that planned shutdown, that sometimes they're waiting on a year or more to take that shutdown. If the equipment that we're supplying them is not on time, and if it's not correct, That's a significant issue.
Yeah, what we're doing on one particular job is it's probably 25 or 30 or maybe 40-year-old equipment, and it's just exhausted. We'll just leave it at that. Whether it was maintained properly or not, I don't know. But so the customer has us come in and say, okay, we have to replace this equipment. So what we do is we go in there and we make sketches of the old equipment exactly the way it is, where all the cables brought in, where all the conduits brought in from underground, everything. So we go to a manufacturer and say, okay, here's what we want. We want to build it exactly the way this was built 30 years ago. So when it comes to the site, they can do it literally. This one's going to get done on a weekend and shut down Friday night, rip the old gear out, put it on the driveway, and take the new gear off the truck and set it right in where the old gear was. We're going to reuse all the cable that's in there, all the conduit that's in there, everything that's there. So it's just going to be, pick this up, and this piece of gear is, 30, 40 feet long and 15 feet wide. It's a monster. Pick it up, put it over here, pick this one up, put it on there, and by Sunday night, midnight, we're going to turn the place back on again. And that's a requirement in a lot of places, whether it's a big piece of gear or even a pad mount transformer.
Right, and so I think what you're saying there, we're talking about manufacturing right now, and we're talking about what's important to the manufacturing vertical, and we're talking about speed, and we're talking about accuracy, right? And that sums up like really well the business that we're in, right? We often say we're in the custom equipment business, and we're in that business for a reason, because there is a need for custom equipment for applications such as that, and not everybody can do that. And we've really leaned into the custom aspect of the medium voltage market, and we really have developed relationships specifically with manufacturers who can help us with these custom applications, because there's a lot of what you just talked about out there, and somebody's got to help them get that done. You talk about speed and accuracy of the equipment that we deliver, and the lengths that we go to ensure that it is going to be correct, and the interfacing that we do with our vendors and our manufacturing partners, to make sure when that gear shows up, it is exactly
on spot,
the way that it needs to be, to make sure that their shutdown is minimized and they can get back online and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and we've had equipment that has arrived not the way we told the manufacturer to build it, and we'll go out there and stand with the customer and the owner 24/7 if we have to help them get this done properly, okay? If a mistake is made, we just don't say, hey, we're sorry, this is the way it was. We stand there with them, our people do, we do, I do, and we want to get this done, we want it done right. But we spend a lot of time up front to prevent these mistakes from happening, and not too many other people want to do that.
I think you bring up an interesting point. Mistakes, right? There's no amount of effort that you can put into a particular project to ensure that it's going to show up exactly the way that it was intended. And, the reason for that is multi-factor. But I think it's mostly because everybody in our market, in our industry, has so much work to do, and the manufacturers have an incredible amount of work in their queue, on their production floor, in their engineering offices. And even the best manufacturing partners that we have make mistakes. And so 20 years ago, we wouldn't see the mistakes that we see now, the number of mistakes that we see. And it's not because these manufacturer partners don't care. It's for the reasons that I just stated. They're filled, they're maxed out. So one of the things that we've done here at Zang over the past a couple of years actually is we finally just said to ourselves, okay, mistakes and issues, that's the new normal. And we have to create a process and a plan internally where we're expecting that mistake. We're asking, is that correct? We know the areas where the mistakes can happen. And so we're really leaning into them. We're doubling down on the front end during the approval process. We're going to the factories when the equipment's on the floor. We're doing our own secondary
Double
QC on
checking,
equipment.
right? Yep, you're right.
And we're looking for those areas that we know could be potential issues where, again, 20 years ago, they weren't an issue, but today they're rising. These are where the mistakes are made. And so we put a process in place here internally with our operations team where it's like, hey, we're ready for the mistakes. We know the mistakes are coming. And we are going to stop what we're doing and expedite those issues to the top of our to-do list internally at our company, and we're going to resolve those issues as quick as possible.
And the other thing, right along that point, and we didn't do this years ago, but now what we do is we get to a certain point with the equipment and we tell the contractor, all right, get your foreman or whoever you want who's working with this gear on the site, bring him to our manufacturing plant, wherever it is, and we'll meet him there. And we'll take a day and we'll go through this because these guys spot mistakes. They say, or what they say is, oh, I didn't realize that's what I had to do. And so we can make changes for them. So it's worth a day of an electrical contractor's foreman come to the manufacturing facility with us and take a look at it. And we've done the same thing with the utility companies. We invite them to come in and look at the equipment to make sure when it gets on the job site that they don't go, oh, we can't turn the power on because this isn't right or that isn't right. I mean, we do this ahead of time to avoid these errors.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it works out best. Everybody's happy then.
Absolutely.
And then the customers have a tendency to want to come back to us because we took care of all that stuff that way.
Yeah, resolving issues ahead of time while it's sitting on the production floor is so much better and so much easier than trying to figure something out in the field. Because once that equipment hits the job site and gets rigged into place, it's a race to get it connected in a lot of cases. And any issues that arise out there just impede progress. And by the time the equipment shows up, at the facility and lands on the pad, the timeline along the way has been condensed so much. There's not a minute to lose. So to your point, anything that we can resolve before that equipment hits the job site, it's great. Yeah.
And again, the owner, he sees his stuff show up on the truck, puts it on the pad, and he expects, tomorrow morning I'll have electricity here, and he doesn't understand. So again, to get all these items taken care of before it ships is a much better way of doing it, and then it's we're all happy.
Yeah. In today's environment, again, with everybody in the industry being so busy with so much work, whether it's a consultant, it's an electrical engineer, it's a manufacturing partner, contractors, everybody is so busy. It's not about if a mistake will happen on a piece of equipment. It's definitely expected, right? There's going to be mistakes.
Right.
And so you have to be ready for those mistakes, and it's our job to mitigate them as much as possible. But we can't even mitigate everything. We can't minimize it down to zero. So expecting mistakes and knowing that they're coming is part of today's plan, but having a plan on what we're going to do about them and how we're going to expedite them and get them resolved as quick as possible is a really important piece of this equation.
No question about it.